give it a little bit more time to work out. Give yourself a little bit more time. Give God a little bit more time.
Take it away, feeling too good to me.
Documenting this because I'm frustrated. I just left doctor's appointment. This is my primary care doctor. I only go every 6 months. One, because I am self-pay and that gets very expensive. Two, because most of my issues are chronic, so there's nothing to really talk about too often. It's more of just like tracking everything and then making large adjustments after I have a certain amount of data if I need to make adjustments. So this is my first time back in 6 months. One, I moved all the way across town, so I'm driving a good distance to go to these appointments, and just having to come out of pocket for a lot of money, and nothing's getting better. I thought my blood pressure, so this is the thing, right? Not the last time I saw him, but when I first started seeing this doctor, he was one of the first ones to tell me your blood. He wasn't the first one to tell me. I've actually had instances where I've gone to like eye doctor and them taking your vitals in just like normal routine fashion and being like, ma'am, do you need to go to the hospital? Because my blood pressure was so high. But I would be like, I feel fine. Now, mind you, at this time, during those times, pre this doctor, when I say feel fine, I wasn't aware of what fine was yet, because the fine that I was feeling, or at least what I thought high blood pressure felt like, I don't know what I thought it felt like. I thought what I was feeling on a day-to-day basis was just anxiety, and I was not taking anything for anxiety at that time. So I was just my normal anxious self, but I didn't feel, what are the symptoms of high blood pressure? I didn't feel lightheaded. My heart was always pounding because I'm an anxious person, but I don't know what I thought high blood pressure felt like. But every time someone would say that to me, that my blood pressure was dangerously high, I would be like, I feel fine, I'm gonna drink some water, whatever. It wasn't until I started going to this new primary care doctor here in Texas that he was like, no, it's consistently too high. This is a problem. And so he put me on a high blood pressure medication. It's probably been like a year and a half. Right around the same time, actually a little bit after I started taking Prozac, because I went through one of the worst depressions of my entire life. I'm no stranger to depression and anxiety. I literally pushed through it for decades, but about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, I don't even remember, time escapes me, but around the same time as he put me on the high blood pressure medication, I was also put on Prozac. I didn't know what fine was. I had been lying all this time. And granted, medication is not a fix-all. You still have to change your lifestyle. Because I still have my moments or whatever, but like, I feel more myself than I ever have. And so the last few months or even the last 6 months of me being consistently on those medications, I'm doing great. This is awesome. And then I go back to the doctor today and he's like, the depression and the anxiety might be under control, but your blood pressure is ridiculous, and also have to cut out the caffeine because the migraines are getting worse. Now, I know the migraines are getting worse. For the last 2 months, I've had one migraine a week at least. And I would say 2 months is what, 8 weeks? I would say out of 8, 4 of those were extremely painful. So I'm like, I need something for that. And I've been doing my own research. There was a time where I was given Nurtec. That didn't really work for me. And it was really expensive, so I just stopped taking it. I've been given Ketorolac. Haven't really seen much of a difference with that. And so I had pretty much resorted back to natural remedies and like over-the-counter medication. The only thing that works consistently is Excedrin. But what does Excedrin have in it? Caffeine. But even in the last months, I can't take all that Excedrin. I just feel weird trying to take all that medicine. I'll be popping Benadryl, Tylenol, Excedrin, like all these things to try to alleviate inflammation and what's that other shit? Histamine and all these things, because I don't really always know what's causing the migraine. So I'm like, okay, this is getting to be too much over-the-counter medicine. I'm concerned about internal bleeding and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, I need to either find the cause and fix it, or I need a better solution, or better, what do they call it, better rescue meds, or preventative. Tried a preventative a long time ago, hated it. But there's other ones. I had actually been looking into the injection. I don't know if I can stab myself with that thing, but it's a once a month type thing, or once every couple months or whatever. I was like, I might be willing to try that. But anyway, so he was like, I'm gonna try Ubrelvy. Seen those commercials, done a little research. I know a friend who takes it. I'm like, let's do that. Then I thought about it. I said, sir, what that look like without insurance? Because when they prescribed, it wasn't this same doctor, but there was a different doctor that prescribed me Nortec, and that was $1,000. I had to find coupons on top of coupons on top of coupons to be able to get that. So I'm like, let me think ahead of this. What does Ubrelvy look like without insurance? And he was like, I was looking up on GoodRx, $1,000. I don't even know if there was a coupon available. So he was like, oh, well, that's not an option, so we're gonna have to try one of the triptans, which is probably the most known medications for migraines. But back in 2016, my primary care doctor, or one of the primary care doctors that I had in Missouri, tried to prescribe me sumatriptan. And because of my distrust for doctors, and they busy people, they got a lot going on in their head, I just like to look up, to check their work. I like to check their work, at least so for my peace of mind, not because I feel like I know more than them, because obviously I don't, otherwise I'll be treating myself, but I like to check their work. So she prescribed me sumatriptan years ago, and I went home and I started doing my research and found out that it contained sulfa, which I am allergic to. So I'm like, why would she prescribe me something that I would be allergic to? So, and I remember having a conversation with her, and she was like, there's very small trace amounts of sulfa in there. It's gonna be fine. You just have to take it and see what happens. And the take it and see what happens part, that's what got me. I said no, because I was a child, I guess, when I had a reaction to sulfa. I don't remember what that was. I'm sure it didn't get as bad as it could have gotten, because my mother is also a hypochondriac, so she probably took me to the hospital or whatever. I don't know what happened, but I'm like, that's too much unknown for me, so I never took it. So fast forward to today, where he's telling me like triptan is really your only option right now. Like, have to do something. One migraine a week is life altering, and I'm like, it is. I really have been no good for multiple days a month, which hinders my income and my productivity, all types of stuff. So, and it fucks with my mental health, if I'm being real honest. So he's like, let me look up some stuff. So he's doing some stuff, and he's like, I don't see a reason why you would have a reaction to it. This is your only option right now. Let's try it. And part of me wants to push back on that, but the other, my phone was overheating. But basically what I was saying was that part of me wants to push back and, I don't know, change doctors, find some other option, think outside the box, and I still will do that. But for now, the other part of me is like so desperate for relief that I'ma just take it and see what happens. I even don't think that I would have a crazy allergic reaction or whatever, but I don't know. It's just part of me is like, I just feel, I probably need to put this phone back on this thing. I just shouldn't have to deal with this, but it's the reality of my life, my condition, so it's just gonna have to be what it is. Oh, I thought that was a parking spot. Probably can't fit there. I'm not that good of a driver, bro. I am, like, don't get me wrong, I'm a great driver, but for that little bitty spot, no. 20-minute parking limit. Oh my gosh, should I just park in this garage? I'm so frustrated. So I'm supposed to be meeting a colleague for lunch, but downtown Dallas stresses me out, so I really just need to, and I'm hot, I'm irritated, mostly because of the point of all of this. Not really the point, but part that frustrated me the most, which it shouldn't be, is him telling me low with my blood pressure, right? He was like, oh, it's too high, it's consistently too high. you're already taking whatever milligrams of the blood pressure medication, you have two options. You can, we can double it. So we can go from taking 50 milligrams to 100, or you can cut out all salt from your diet. And that part, I was like, fine, I'll do that. I'll cut out all the salt. Mostly because when I was telling him that I don't eat a lot of salt. I don't like salty foods. I don't like overly salty foods at all. I don't typically add salt to my food. And that's because I didn't grow up eating a lot of salt, because my father has high blood pressure, dangerously high blood pressure, and so my mom stopped really cooking with salt, or probably just never did. We always use things like Mrs. Dash, and that's what I consistently cook with. I don't do a lot of salt. So if I just need to, I eat processed foods that are salty or whatever. He's like, cut out the fast food. I don't really eat fast food. I'm doing all of these things already. I cook at home. I might eat frozen foods and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, maybe there's a lot more salt in those things than I'm realizing, so I could be a little bit more cautious about what I am cooking. But he was like, if you're already doing all of those things, we just need to up the medication. So I'm like, oh, fine, I'll just take more. So that was the one thing. And then he was like, with the migraines, you're gonna try the sumatriptan. He's like, I'm gonna give you enough to take it every day if you're in that much pain, but you shouldn't have to take it every day. And the goal is to not have to take it every day, because it's a rescue med, it's not a preventative. And so then he was like, the last thing is to completely cut out caffeinated beverages. He was like, how much caffeine are you drinking? And because he was like, basically because he told me to cut it out before, and he was like, how much caffeine are you drinking? Because he knew that I didn't stop. And I have 1 cup of coffee a day. 1 cup, 12. I even knew that he was gonna do this yesterday when I was cleaning up the kitchen. I was actually cleaning my coffee pot, and I was like, how much? Because I have the single serve Keurig, and I've never actually looked at the measurement. I just always fill it all the way up and drink whatever comes out. So I was like, I wonder how many ounces this is, because in my head it was 8. It's 12. So I'm like, I have 1 12-ounce coffee per day. That's it. If anything, it got too much sugar in it, and I don't even use a lot of sugar. I can drink black coffee at this point. I just need the coffee. I need the caffeine. I am chronically fatigued. And he was like, you're gonna have to get rid of all caffeine. I'm like, okay, so what do I do for the fatigue? Because, and this is not even to be dramatic, I am a different person without it. I honestly feel like my eyes have a film over them if I don't have a little something. I cut out the Red Bulls years ago. I cut out the soda. In high school, I was addicted to Mountain Dews. Addicted is a lot, but I had 1 a day because I wanted it, and I thought it tasted good, and I needed to be awake. And then I didn't start drinking coffee until college because I fell asleep driving on 8 hours of sleep. It's not like narcolepsy type sleepy, but it's like I am tired. And even on days that I drink a cup, I can still, and this is the thing, this is what makes me mad, because I know it might be too much caffeine, but I know I'm not drinking as much as I even want to, because I can still drink a cup of coffee and go straight to sleep. I can go to sleep now. It is 11 a.m. I've had my 1 cup. Actually, it's a little bit left because I've been sipping on it. It's very rare. I feel like I'm probably gonna get a headache now because I've dragged it out too long, but I needed to do blood work, and so I needed to fast this morning. All I want is to get these things under control and still have my 1 cup of coffee. I know that sounds like an easy fix to just, you got to give up one thing in order for other things to possibly be okay. I know that sounds crazy for me to say I don't want to give up this one thing, but help me. I feel like a lot of life is, unfortunately, what's the phrase for that? There's a catch-22. I give up this thing in order to gain this, but that creates another problem. So right now, I am in a space, in a season of my life where, because of my health, I've gotten so far behind. And I'm not saying behind comparing myself to others, literally behind financially, and just in a lot, even with a little bit of the healthy comparison, I am behind. And I'm not saying that to put myself down. I'm saying that because I recognize what position I'm in right now. I am behind. And so I still want to live a full life. So there are some things that I'm going to have to catch up on. And that means sacrifice in fun and relationships and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like I've already given up a lot so that I can focus on making the money that I need to make so that I can get out of debt. But in order to make the money that I need to make, doing the things that I do, I need to have the energy to do it. And so if you're telling me to completely cut out the energy source that like I'm barely tapping into now, I am terrified that I will get even further behind to the point of no return. It's already bad. And I'm not saying that for like the year to have y'all all in my business. It's already bad. So that terrifies me. What am I supposed to do from here? And it's like, I was on the phone with my friend Natalie, and she was like, I need you to get a job just for the benefits. You're good at what you do. You don't need a job because you could have a thriving business like you once did, but you need a job for the benefits. And I'm like, remember, I had one. The only reason I kept that tech job was for the benefits. As much as it was draining me because of all the uncertainty and organization, like, I kept that job for the benefits, and then I got laid off. And I've probably applied to, I actually tried to keep track, but at this point I'm tired. I've applied to at least 900 jobs in the last year and a half. I've had one part-time job, which was the coffee shop that I was recently working at, that the migraines got in the way of because I can't stand on my feet for 8 hours with a migraine. And with a part-time job, you don't have off time. So if I just and my migraines are unpredictable, so if I just happen to wake up one day with a migraine, I have to call off. But there is no calling off because you have to find a replacement. But I was only there for like 4 weeks. I don't have a person that I can line up and be like, hey, can you work this shift for me? Especially with an hour's notice, 2 hours notice. It just didn't work. But I tried it. I was willing and desperate enough to go get a job where, and this is telling a lot more information than I intended, but it's my point. I went and got a job where I was 10 to 15 years the senior of everyone there, doing something that obviously I like coffee, so it wasn't like the job, it wasn't like I hated the job, but I was standing on my feet for 8 hours and paying for $9 an hour, maybe 15 with tips, no benefits. I was just like, I'll get some extra money in. But because I had an uptick in the migraines, I couldn't even hold on to that. So, because it just didn't make sense. It just wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the stress that it was putting on me to like, because I'm also one of those people that's like, oh, I don't want to let people down. So it was putting a lot of stress on me to even have to say, hey, I'm in pain today. I can't come in. That gave me crazy anxiety. What do? I know y'all don't have the answer. That's what's stressing me out today. And it all came from doing what I was supposed to do and going to the doctor. And now the stress is, I'm feeling it. I probably should go ahead and take something now. Anyway, I'm downtown in Dallas, and that's also stressing me because the streets, the parking, downtown anywhere stresses me out, honestly. I used to live downtown. But meeting with a colleague, it'd be a great meeting. Hopefully we're eating lunch because I'm starving. But honestly, that's another thing. I should probably go. A little vulnerable on the internet. I should probably go grab something quick to eat so that I'm not like starving. One, if we don't go to lunch. But two, if we do and I can't afford it. Because going to get blood drawn at a lab and then going to my doctor's appointment at the hospital and paying for parking there, I'm out of, let's see, almost $350 today of the money that I just made. It is April 26th. Rent's about to be due. So I need to have this meeting. Potentially lucrative. But I'm out of $350. What kind of lunch can I afford right now? I got food at home. I don't say any of those things or be that vulnerable for like empathy or for anything other than to illustrate that like sometimes you can have all the willpower in the world. You can be the smartest person. You can have all the intentions and work your ass off. Sometimes circumstances just get in the way and you gotta bob and weave. And though I'm tired, I'm still bobbing and weaving and trying to do it with a smile on my face. And this is why I say I didn't know what I felt like before, because the Ashley I am today that can like smile through this, strategize, figure it out, I have a will to keep going. The Ashley 2 years ago, I didn't. I ain't had none of this. I'm gonna be real honest. You might have seen me on the internet looking like I was okay, or whatever. The suicidal ideation, the just complete hopelessness, all of that was so overbearing, on top of the pain, on top of regular everyday life shit. It was so heavy. It was so heavy. And I literally, like, today, I'm just grateful that I can't say I don't feel the weight. It's still heavy. It's still heavy, but I carry the weight differently now. And grateful to God, therapy, and medication. I actually saw a TikTok, I want to say it was yesterday, of this woman who, because of a situation of her life being in danger, I think she said she had a stalker, that she was having some issues with her job and finding a place to move, just because of circumstances of, it was just a lot. She had a lot going on. And she, in the video, was saying, like, previous Saturday, she had decided to take her life. And she remembered that someone had once told her to just give herself a little bit more time for it to work out. Just a little bit more time for it to work out. And so she decided, I'm gonna give myself a little bit more time. And within a week, she was able to get a new place and get out of the area that this stalker or whatever was, like, your problem in. And that phrase, just give yourself just a little bit more time for it to work out. You don't know what God gonna do in a week. That keeps me going. And I hope that that's some help for someone else. Just give yourself a little bit more time to work out. It can look like there is no possible way. Trust me. A lot of days have looked like there is no possible way. God made a way every time. I don't even know how. Sometimes it happens and I be like, I ain't even gonna ask you how you did that. Just thank you. And so it's easy to forget that there were plenty of days we thought we weren't going to make it, but yet we're still here to think about those days when we thought we weren't going to make it. Give it a little bit more time to work out. Give yourself a little bit more time. Give God a little bit more time. We're going to be good. All is well.
Take it away, feeling too good to me. Chilling all day, all in your space is where I wanna be. Here in this room, what did you do? I just can't get enough. Too